I'm going to have to start that again. Alright. Alright, welcome back to the only game where I've seemed to be able to build mostly anything that comes to my mind. It's Minecraft. And as you can see, I'm back again here on the multiplayer server in use by everybody who is in the Bright Sun Films Discord server. And as you can see, I'm busy. So currently, this is the current project I just finished recently, which is the server's first church. It's named Noonvale Chapel. It's the first Minecraft church I've built in over 5 years. The last one I built, oh god, I don't remember the server it was on, but it's a completely custom build, just like all my other ones. You can see the ornate wood supports here for the roof, which is a rather unique to support design, and you've got lamps dangling from the ceiling in multiple places. You give it a decent, congregation, but it's not meant to be a gigantic freaking, mega church. I wanted this to be more like a small town type chapel. That's the way I built it as such. I mean, you guys can say what you will about that sort of thing, but, I mean, to be fair, if I were a preacher, I wouldn't speak, I wouldn't spread the word of God for any kind of monetary wealth. In other words, I wouldn't read the Bible to the masses for money. That's not what I would do. In short, I mean, if I were to be more, for me to try to put it into words, I'll just try and keep it simple. Basically, I consider it a sin to, to preach God's words and wisdoms for money. That's why I really don't necessarily like a lot of these mega churches, because sometimes most of the preachers behind them just do it for the money. They don't do it because they, actually care about God's word, I used to go to one of those churches, but I was really young and I didn't stay for very long. Now I will admit I do not read the Bible, but I do consider it a sin, to read it just to make money off of it, because I feel morally that's very wrong. Okay, that's a moral opinion of mine. If that makes any sense. I mean, y'all are welcome to point your own opinions about it. This is an open chat after all. We're just continuing the dirt road a bit, so that, everybody else can build on this side. So I'm also trying to think of building something here. I was going to try and build the Whistle Stop Cafe that's over in Juliet, except there's one little problem. No blueprints, no measurements of any kind exist for the building. Plus, it's got a diagonal sidewall to it on the front, and that's very difficult to model in Minecraft to where it looks decent. If you try to build a diagonal wall in Minecraft for a building, it does not look good. Okay? Country Life, they did say there was a tornado warning issued, and supposedly a tornado did touch down an island. Now, that town ain't far from Danielsville. Yes, gravel. Yes, I've heard of the hook and eye line. Apparently, I've been to where it used to go. Let me rephrase that. I've heard of the hook and eye line, because apparently it goes through Jasper, Tate, and Ellijay. Also, secret, no spoilers there. Anyway, I wonder what this will be. Not going to say because I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, here's another recent completed build of mine, Buffalo Creek Tunnel. If y'all have heard of a railroad with the name Buffalo Creek, then you'll know exactly what this is referencing. I'm not going to say it. I want y'all to find out for yourselves. But this is basically the first tunnel I've made in a long time in vanilla. And I've got the little, ditch points where if there's a train coming, you can duck in, get out of the way. They're along each side, and of course I've got lanterns strewn up. That wouldn't be in a real tunnel. But since this is for minecarts, well, you can kind of bend the rules a little bit. But yeah, this is a city, or is going to be a city that a friend of mine named Retro is building. He's already got at least 2 buildings done. And the station here is going to be the 3rd building that'll be completed. I built the track, the tunnel, the platforms, the platform covers. I built all of this. The track, the platforms, and all that. I built all that. He built the station. This station is of his. This station here is his design, and I've just been helping him build it. And now, again, as I said in the last stream, regarding this server, it is not public. Not public in the sense that, y'all can join. It's public to most of the members in the Bright Sun Films Discord server. If you're a member of the server, then you should, I think, if I'm right, you can join. But I think you've got to have certain, permission and whatnot. I don't remember, but either way, if you're part of the Discord, then you can join. But if you're not, then, there's not really much that can be done. Also, as you can also see here, the train shed is finally finished. Yes, they got the ships moved, so I was finally able to finish this thing. For a while it was only to there. Now it's complete, along with the platforms and the track layout. And as you can see, I've got signs denoting which route goes where. Interchange with Highline Track 1 to the right. That refers to the People Mover track here, Track 1, which is on the right side. The interchange, and that right there was its interchange point, because originally this track went straight and went through right here and stopped. But I demoed all of that, and this is all that's left. I only left this because I was going to use it as a reference until I built this interchange. This is the new interchange for the track on the left side, track number 2. This is the new interchange ramp. There's a service ladder in between the general store and the church. Goes up, comes out there, and then you've got the interchange switch here. And then I built this portion, this raised portion of the People Mover, but I call it the High Line. It's raised up by about 11 blocks. And it's meant to where the server owners can just world edit a section to where all they'd have to do is just copy and paste it. It makes building this very it makes it far less of a pain, believe me. Oh, and also I built this park too. Yeah, I ended up building this fairly recently. I figured, since it was between 2 of my builds, the server owners wouldn't have minded if I built it, so I did. And this is the result. And I like how it turned out. I like how I was able to utilize such a small space and make something useful out of it, But I haven't built this many custom builds in so long, it ain't even funny. At first it was the train station, alright? Then the hardware store that's over in Wolf Pine. Then it was the general store, then the park, then the church, and then the tunnel. So, this is the most, if any of y'all are ever able to get permission to come on this server, this is going to be where most of the builds I've ever made that are custom will be. Oh, and also, I made this little bit here. Noonvale Chapel, all are welcomed here to hear the words, wisdom, and teachings of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I say amen to that because a lot of people need to hear that stuff now more than ever. A lot of people my age and a little older than me, I should add. As you can see, I've got the church booths here, or church benches, and then of course, like the real ones, you've got the Bibles off to the sides of each bench. And I know most of the time in these churches, it's usually, if I'm not mistaken, depending on, what church sector you attend, whether it be, Christian, Baptist, think Baptists use the New Testament. I could be wrong, but I know most of the time you see the New Testament, or simply, you know, the Holy Bible, along with in the church pews or church benches. I forget what they're called. I think it's either benches or pews. I could be wrong on that, but yeah. Again, this is a custom church design. It's the first one I've done that actually has the lattice woodwork supports as well. This is the first time I've also done these stained glass windows again. These are all custom stained glass windows too. Comrade, I am not playing in full screen. Also, if you all recognize this, this is a rebuild of the Memphis Pyramid. Ha ha ha! Yes, the Memphis Pyramid, the temple of my stepfather's people, in other words, Sportsman's Paradise, is now rebuilt on this server. So that's going to be fun. Also, the observation area has a wood floor, not a freaking stone one. I intended to let them know about that. I'll probably have to let Zed know about that, because, yeah, it's not like this. It's, got a kind of wood floor, something around the likes of spruce or real polished hardwood, one of the two. West Rail, what's up? Also, with the rail line, it's a double track main going to Retro City at the moment, and then it just stops there. Well, you've got two passover tracks to where you can go to one main line, to one side of the main line or the other. You got two of them. And you've got two sidings along with signs denoting them, passing siding ahead. And then on the other side, to GN St. L station and interchange. That stands for the fictional Georgia and St. Louis Railroad. I don't think such a railroad would exist in real life, since they'd be near to impossible for you to build one from Georgia to St. Louis, Missouri today. I don't think you could build one that would going that specific route today at all, because there'd be a million different people complaining and a million more saying it can't be done. So yeah, station ahead. Well, no kidding, Sherlock, it's right there. But yeah, this has about 3 platforms. Longest one is the track. Longest one is near the main line. Shortest is near the station. And of course, again, you've got the tunnel. Now I'm going to show you guys something now I'm going to show you all a bit of a major construction fail, okay? Take note of how this looks, all right? Now, look at it the opposite side. This is how that front entrance should look, but unfortunately, I ended up mucking all that up. I don't think I'm going to rebuild this, because I don't think I'm going to. What I may do is I might have, what's the name? I'm probably going to have Gunty copy and paste or world edit this forward by 1 block, so it's, you know, no longer underneath this roadway railing, so that I can finish it. But yeah. Oh, by the way, did y'all hear about that ship that decided to do a freaking Tokyo drift maneuver in the Suez Canal, kind of blocking it for God knows how long? Yeah, I didn't know if any of y'all knew, so I was just letting y'all know. I was relaying the info. Yeah. Imagine being the captain. Imagine being the guy who decides to freaking deja vu a freaking... Yeah, imagine being the guy who decides to go in Initial D a freaking container ship. Yeah, I don't know how they would manage that. As for also, if y'all are curious about my new truck, well, new used truck, currently we've got the dashboard taken apart on it because we're trying to replace all the bulbs for the gauges and whatnot, because the original ones were blown or very near or close to being completely blown out, so my mom has ordered new LED bulbs to go in their place. So hopefully that can be fixed and the dash can be put back together without any problems. Last thing I want to have happen is last thing I want to have happen while I'm out driving is the dashboard to suddenly just spontaneously disassemble itself to where I can't control the vehicle. Now that would be bad. Get another sign denoting a station ahead. Now, I'm not really planning on making this rail line twist and turn very much. I'm making it a straight line. I'm intentionally making it a solid straight line. And the reason for that is so that people can build along both sides of the right-of-way and have a connection to get, say, from where they're building their build to spawn and then back to it. And I'm making it go straight and in one place. I'm making it go straight in one spot so that it doesn't interfere with other people's builds. You know, if people don't want this thing going through their build, then, you know, they're not going to have to worry about that because it's only going, you know, this direction at this spot. And plus, if people like, say, Retro wanted to build around it to give their build more character, then, you know, then they can. I don't mind it. And then that's the case here. I didn't mind, you know, he was okay with the rail line coming through his city because, you know, he wanted there to be a rail connection. So that's now possible. And I've got screenshots showing this thing's construction. And I'm thinking of doing a kind of a slideshow video showcasing this thing's construction. It's not from foundation up. It's shortly after the walls started being laid. Like, it was shortly after the walls started being framed and then the rest. Knowing my luck, by the time I join tomorrow, it'll probably be finished. But, you know, it'll be a good way to show just, you know, how quickly this thing can get built. Because this was built in a day, what you see now. And now, if y'all are curious about Rez's city, well, don't worry. You're about to see how it's turned out so far. You can see the rail line he has going through his town. You can see he's added a central park. Some early 1950s or style homes. So he's starting a subdivision. He's got a 50s fueling station, or service station, excuse me. That's a full service station. You don't see many of those anymore. And then he's got a little hamburger stand right here. Now this was what made me want to try and attempt to build the the Whistle Stop Cafe. It's just the problem is, you know, see, here's a good example. Diagonal wall. In real life, this structure's rounded at the edges. Now, since Minecraft doesn't have curves, that's near impossible to do. So, you know, there you go. Of course, we got the bank. Then this building was finished. Then here's my hardware store. That's now done. It's completely finished. It's funny, if you look at the dates, you can see all of my builds. I built all of these structures in the span of a few days, okay? All of them were, if you look at the dates, they're all built this month, March. It's funny. Normally you'd expect the checkout counter to be down here. Nope, you got to go up. You got to climb to get up to the checkout point. There were windows here, but I filled them in so more buildings could be built alongside. Now, I know what y'all are thinking. Why do I have these here but no signs? That's because I never added them yet. And plus, I really don't think I'd need to add them because, I mean, it's common sense. You'd know, even in real life, you'd know what all this stuff was. Save for the enchanting table. That wouldn't exist in real life. Everything else, definitely. Really don't know what that's supposed to say. Oh yeah, Barnes 5 and 10. You know, it'd be funny if he did like a Barnes and Noble, because that's literally the only mainstream bookstore left in downtown Athens where I'm at. Barnes and Noble is the only bookstore left in town. A lot of my train books have come from there, so yeah. A lot of my books on trains and boats have come from Barnes and Noble. I can tell you that for certain. Now, if you're curious why it says finished 323, that's because that was when they finally were able to get the ship build, the 2D ship models moved. In other words, yeah, my accent probably made that sound like something else. The reason it says finished March 23rd, 2021 is because that was when they were finally able to get permission to move the 2D ships out of the way. Because there was a one that was right around here. And it made it to where I had to stop construction of the train shed. So I technically considered the station a work in progress. Meaning it wasn't finished until this train shed was finished. Technically, I mean, the station building itself, if you were to count it as a separate structure, that was finished. That's complete. So the train shed was like another structure that was finished. So as you can see, the build date says 3/15/21. That was when the actual station building itself was made and finished. I built this in a day. And I stayed up till near midnight building it, believe me. And then the train shed was finished on the 23rd. So, I mean, you can count the days. I've gotten a habit of where I'm putting a freaking... I've got a habit of putting the dates for when I build this stuff now. I'm not putting a date for that because that's a park. And then I have to actually change this to say Union Station Park. Also, take note of the name of the general store merchant and the mercantile company. I'll just let that sink in for a little bit. I'll forget it. It's referencing Gainesville, Georgia. And take note, I finished this store 2 days before the train shed. And like every old general store, you've got rocking chairs out front, a soda machine out front, and some table for some random activity. Oh, and just like the real general stores... like the old ones you could walk into there or along the roadside. It has the bell that would ring when you open coming in or going out. I've got a user by the name of Creative to thank for helping me get that working. But it's pretty much what you'd expect. It's really a general store. You got general items for sale, like new used books, music, you know, fuel if you're somebody who lives out in the boonies and relies on firewood and coal. You've got various food items, clothing, and miscellaneous items, whether it be like, you know, a clock, compass, flint, steel, shears, seeds, feed. You know, the basic office supplies, basically. Also, I made it look like the store was in service long enough to have electric heaters put in, but I made it so that this store retained its original vintage wood stove. So, you know, if you'd still have a method of heating the building up. If, say, you had a power outage, you'd still be able to heat the building up. Of course, you got the fuel stores right here. Charcoal, wood, coal. Got the various wood, charcoal, coal, you know, that sort of stuff. And then you've got the music thing, which somebody decided to fill with stall. I wonder why. No more stall anymore. Yeah, fun fact, funny story about the soda machine. I had my friend, who also did the bell, help me make the signs. And the original had Dr. Pepper, A&W Root Beer, Mountain Dew, but instead of Pepsi, it said liquid math. I'll let you take. Y'all can use your imagination to say what that. I'll let y'all use your imagination to guess what it really said. But anyway, I told him, hey, that won't work. I'm changing it, and that's why you see that now. So you've got both Coke and Pepsi products here, my friends. And like in the old days, it probably only cost you a few cents. But I love it. It's like you've got the general store off to the left. You've got the church off to the right. So now that begs the question, and I know y'all are going to ask me, what am I going to build next? Well, that's a good question. I don't know what I'm going to build next. I'm debating on doing like an old school Main Street type design here. You know, like, I'm wondering if I should do it like maybe making this like a small community style town here. I mean, I don't know if it could be done, but still, you never know. If I did do something like that, it'd probably be, you got, like, say, I don't know, a bank here, possibly maybe a store with an apartment above, and then, I don't know, maybe some kind of small, maybe block or so sized hotel or something, I don't know. Either, maybe like a hotel or an inn or a bed and breakfast, I don't know, something small. Meth. It said liquid meth, Railfan 101. So now you can see why I changed that very quickly. And I changed that very quickly. Also, Creative built the family video over there. Apparently that's something he remembers. Yeah, my video store that used to be here in town was Vision Video. That was where we'd rent movies at either Vision Video or at the video store that used to be in Ingles. That's now been converted into a pharmacy. Go figure. Once movies, now medicine. Instead of movies at midnight, it's medicine at midnight. Yes, I just referenced Foo Fighters' new album. Be sure to check it out. Medicine at Midnight by Foo Fighters. Anyway, also, as with I've got a bell. Albeit, it's very, very, very tiny and minuscule. Also, there's also a lightning rod up here. Now, I know why you're asking. Why does it not have a steeple? Why does it not have a cross on top? Technically, I count that as the steeple, and the cross is already taken care of, as if the obvious front stained glass design isn't enough of a hint. The crosses are the front stained glass windows. Then you can see Circuit City. And don't laugh, this is apparently going to be like a massive freaking mall. Like, they're going to try and build a huge freaking mall here. So, that's going to be fun. That's Gunty's project. He's wanting to make like a massive dead shopping mall. And I told him, you know, man, you're probably going to want to do a Blues Brothers reference here and there, because if you guys have ever seen the movie, then you'll know why I'm asking if I asked him if he could do that. Because technically, he could make he could have it so the Bluesmobile could be just cruising through the mall. My thoughts on it? It's a good engine. It's a good locomotive. And if NS ever decided to get out of their corporate greed streak and actually go back to something more heritage related and more, you know, compassionate, I'd love to see the engine return to its home rails, former home rails, instead of having to go to like Strasbourg or something like that. The sad fact is you can keep that engine operational, but there's nowhere for you to run it, realistically. Sure, you can run it at Strasbourg, but there's not enough track miles to have it run at full speed, or at the speed that it could be allowed to run at. I mean, in a way, I feel that 611 is kind of like, you know, a wild horse after you first catch it. You know, it's trapped, in a sense. You know, there's nowhere for it to run. In a sense, it's like a horse, you know, a wild horse that's trapped in like a corral. There's nowhere for it to run. And that's technically true with 611, and actually a lot of the mainline steam locomotives that could only run with Amtrak's support. And since they decided to go the route they took, a lot of them no longer have anywhere to run. You know, Milwaukee Road 261, Daylight 4449, they can't run. 611 can't run because Amtrak and NS no longer support the steam programs. I mean, a lot of these engines that maybe, say, 20, 30 years ago you would have seen out on the main line, you're probably never going to see them on the main line again because of the current corporate ideals and mindsets, you know. Lining, profit makers' pockets. It seems to be the more of the game than, heritage or, caring about your customers and your smaller businesses, the stuff that would actually help you make more money. Now, a lot of these rail lines and rail companies now are just in it for the large and short-term gain. But the fact is, most businesses that went that route didn't last. If you don't have the support of the smaller businesses, then you're going to go quick. Doesn't matter if you support the larger companies that give you a good bit of money at a very quick rate. Once they go, you go with them. So, I mean, that's my rant regarding politics for the day. So, yes. I'm actually tempted to ask Gunty and them if I could just get this front facade here, like, copied and then pasted, like, right in here. Now, if you're curious as to what I'm doing this because the original tunnel forget it. Exactly, and I'm glad Drayton agrees, realized that as well, because what you're going to probably see is, I mean, I hate to say it, but if the railroads don't get rid of this precision scheduled railroading BS concept, they're going to end up like Penn Central. And they're going to end up like Penn Central in a very, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to rephrase that. If the railroads that adopted precision scheduled railroading continue to use it, then eventually they're going to have a full-on Penn Central style bankruptcy on their hands, and that is not going to be good. And if that happens, it isn't just going to be one railroad like Penn Central. Oh no. It's probably going to be every railroad on the East Coast, CSX and NS, and most of the railroads out west. The only railroad you'd probably see come out of that unscathed somehow would probably be the few that didn't adopt it or got rid of it. And the railroads that are not under the Class 1 category, short lines, regionals, that sort of thing. And plus, this PSR crap has caused a good number of jobs to be lost, a good number of facilities that could take extra repair loads. I mean, this PSR crap has caused the shops in Roanoke to be closed, and which I feel was a very bad move on Norfolk Southern's part. And the reason I say that is because, say God forbid some natural disaster happens and it takes out Juniata shops over in Altoona. Well, then you've got no repair facilities.
Oh.
Well, I was before my phone decided to overheat. Hold on 1 minute. Yeah, my phone is freezing, y'all. I'm gonna call it a night, so I'll see y'all later.